Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. So today we're going to talk to you about C ratings with charging lipo batteries, nimh batteries, NiCads, etc. Okay. A lot of people are like, well, how do I know what C rating to charge my battery at? Well, C rating has to do with the amperage of your battery. Okay, so for example, this Zippy 5200 is a 5200 milliamp battery, or 5.2 amps. Okay, so to charge that at 1C, okay, you're charging 1 times the capacity. So the C is the capacity. So the capacity of this battery is 5200 milliamps. So to charge this battery in an hour, what you'd want to do is press your button and set it to 5.2 amps. Okay, so that's 1 times the capacity. Okay, so you can charge this battery in 1 hour. So if you have a battery that's 6,000 milliamps, then that's 6 amps. You charge it 6 amps, so 6.0 on here. Now this is a straight charge cycle, so that it will not balance the battery. Okay, so you need to be able to balance your cells in your battery. Now, for fast charging, of course, you don't want to balance your cells because it does take longer to balance your cells than to not balance them. And it's very important to balance your cells to get the best possible performance out of your battery. Now, there's some people that say, well, charging at the capacity of the battery is fine. It won't hurt the battery. It's good for it. Well, actually, no, it's not. You know, it has the capability, yes, the battery can handle it without blowing up in your face. However, the problem with charging at the same amperage as what your battery is that it's not going to get full capacity into that battery, because you're fast charging a battery when you're charging it at its amperage level. Okay, so if you're charging a 5200 mAh battery at 5.2 amps to get it done in an hour, you're fast charging it. So you're actually warming the cells up as you're charging it beyond what they actually should be, so you actually get much less runtime when you fast charge a battery. Now if you charge this battery at half of its charge rate, okay, so at 2.5 amps for example, okay, it's going to take much longer to charge, okay, whether you're balance charging or fast charging. Even your fast charging is going to take twice as long, technically, okay. That's actually a little bit better for the battery. You're still going to lose performance though, okay, but not as much as you would by trying to jam that all in there in an hour. The other thing too is when your battery is being charged and warming up, if you're warming it up too much because you're charging at the amperage level of the battery, okay, you have to let that battery cool down after it gets off the charger. Even though it may not feel warm, okay, inside those cells are still warm. And so what kills batteries fast is heat. Okay, cold does not kill batteries. I've put a lipo battery in the freezer overnight, thrown it in my quad the next day, and gone out and flown it. No problems whatsoever. Okay, so much for the theory of it's bad to freeze your batteries. Okay, because I've done it. It worked fine for me, you know, so hey, what do you know? Now, whenever I charge my batteries, I usually charge at half the rate or less, okay? And just because I'm not in a rush, so I have the time to hang out and wait a couple hours for my batteries to charge, and I want to get the maximum charge cycles, okay? So the more you fast charge a battery, you know, the less charge cycles you're going to get out of that battery. So if I want this battery to last me for, say, you know, 500 cycles, which is quite possible to do, then I actually would want to charge that at less than half. Okay, so the lower the charge rate, the longer it takes to charge it, but you're going to get maximum amperage into the battery. It's going to go in and not really warm the cell, so that right after it's done, you could actually take it off the charger and within 5 minutes use it and no problem. Okay, but like I said, I have the time to sit around and wait for my battery, so I don't mind, and I want to maximize my battery life. Okay. Now, there are a lot of times that I'm in a bit of a rush where, you know, oh, I got to be somewhere in a couple hours to go bash. I got to get these things charged, so I'll charge them at half the rate. Okay, I've tried charging batteries at just over half the rate. Sure, they charge quicker, right? But then I don't get the same runtime. I get a lot less runtime. So I'm degrading the performance, but I'm also damaging the battery by trying to charge it quicker, okay? Now the other thing you got to watch too is you got to make sure that the battery that you have for your RC has a high enough C rating for the discharge to keep up with your electronics in your RC, be it a boat, a car, an airplane, or whatever. Because if you try and pull too much from a battery at once and the battery can't handle it, you can actually overheat and blow up your lipo batteries. Or you can have a meltdown with your nimh packs and start a fire either way. So you want to make sure that you have good enough batteries. Now this is a 30C, I believe this one is. Yeah, this is a 30C 5200 milliamp Zippy. Now I have no problems running this thing with my Traxxas Bandit, and it has a VXL 3S ESC in it, and it has a 4-pole 3100 kilovolt motor, I believe, and bashing the daylights out of it and keeping on the throttle a lot. By the time I'm done wasting this battery, which seems to take forever for runtime, okay, it's barely warm, barely, you know, so it's like, okay, that's pretty good, because you're going to get a little bit of warmth regardless, so this battery is actually fairly adequate. Now, when I take a battery like my SMC 6500 milliamp battery, okay, it has a 60C baseline for discharge with 120C burst. And I mean, that thing just feels the same temperature going in as it does coming out of my machine after, you know, full throttling the hell out of it for like over a half an hour. I mean, I get amazing runtime, you know, so I'm like, great, you know. So, you know, this is something, you know, you need the higher discharge rates for, okay? So you need the higher C rating when you're running on even brush systems. Brush systems chew up a lot of amperage. Your battery has to be able to supply. And a lot of you are thinking, well, but a brush battery doesn't perform like a brushless does. Brushless is like steroid, yeah! Okay, but brushless systems chew less amperage. They also chew a lot less power as part of that amperage than what a brush system does. Brush systems chew a lot more amperage. I have a Losi 12T ESC that on the top end burst rate is like 1,000 amps that it wants. So it's like, holy crap, like, how do you produce that? Big battery. So anyways, so that's a little bit about that. So when you're charging your batteries at this whole 1C thing, 1C is equivalent to the capacity of your battery. Okay, so you charge at the capacity. So 5200 milliamp, 5.2 amps. 2600 milliamp battery, 2.6 amps. 1000 milliamps, you charge it at 1 amp basically. And that's for fast charging. You should not do that. Now, Traxxas, I've got the 1200 milliamp nickel methyl hydrate batteries that came with my, well, you get one anyways. I got two of them. Come with the, like the Mini Revo, the Mini Summit VXL, etc. Okay, a little tiny 6-cell nickel methyl hydrate pack. Now, that's 1200 milliamps, so I can charge at the amperage rate. And that battery is pretty warm when I take it off the charger. I have to let it sit for a while. If I charge it at half the rate, sure, it takes me like, 2 hours to charge it, at half the rate. But it's not as warm, and I only have to let it sit for like 10 minutes, and then I can go and use it. Because using a warm battery, it's going to get even hotter, which is bad, right? You don't already want to draw from a battery that's already warm. You want to let that battery cool off after it comes off the charger. Otherwise, it's going to get really excessively hot, and this is where you also cause problems, right? But Traxxas claims that 1200 milliamp battery can be charged at 4 amps, okay, without any problem. Now, I tried this before. Do you want to know how fast that impact burnt out? Boom. Only a couple of charge cycles I got out of that battery, and it was completely and utterly useless after that. It didn't matter what I did. I burned the cells because I was charging it way beyond what it should be, although Traxxas says you can charge it at 4 amps. Well, you can do anything you want is the bottom line, whether it's a lipo battery, a nimh battery, or a NiCad battery. I don't care. You can do whatever you want. Charge it as fast as you want, but you're going to pay a price for that, okay? And if you charge a battery too high, okay, because I have heard of some batteries out there for lipos, like a 5200 milliamp, for example, it could be charged at twice that amperage. Okay, so instead of 5.2, it could be charged at 10.4 amps, which is utterly ridiculous. I mean, that charges really fast, right? Sure, you get all the voltage in there, but you got squat for milliamps, and you're risking a fire. Okay, but they say you can do it. So should you? I wouldn't. But some people have done it and have claimed to have gotten away with it. Although I'm just not that stupid. And I also look at it this way. We pay really good money for our batteries. We want to get the most out of them that we can. Not just for runtime performance, but longevity and charge cycles. Okay. Now the other thing that I personally do, and you can do what you want, but almost every single time, unless I'm doing a lot of bashing in a day, because then I wouldn't do it, but most of the time what I'll do is when I'm done with my batteries for the day, I will discharge them, okay, until they go to 3 volts per cell, because there's a discharge cycle on most chargers. Okay, it says discharge. 2 cell is going to take it down to 6 volts, so 3 volts per cell, which is more than within the safety limits. Now you can do this at 2 amps or at 1 amp, so it just does it quicker at 2 amps. I always leave it at 2 amps. Okay, now a 3S will go to 9 volts, 4S at 12, 5 at 15, and 6S at 18 volts. And this charger doesn't go past 6S for charging or discharging. So at 18 volts divided by 6, that's 3 volts per cell. And by discharging it down that low, you remove most, if not all, of the milliamps out of that battery, okay, and it resets the battery. Because whether you want to believe it or not, and I don't care how much you want to argue or fight with me, because I've proven this already so many times, and to my own customers, that lipos do hold a memory after time. They do build a memory effect, okay? We all know NiCads did it. Nobody will argue that. nimh batteries, they said wouldn't do it. That was full of crap too. Okay, I've discovered that to be false information. They do hold a memory. And yes, so do lipo batteries. They can and will develop a memory over time. So with doing often discharge cycles, you prevent that memory thing from taking effect. Okay, so, and like I said, argue all you want. I'm not going to fight with you. You can say what you want, believe what you want. I could care less. I'm not going to sit there and fight with you. Okay, I know what I know as factual proof. I've done this so many times. I know that it's true. So I don't care what you want to read elsewhere on the internet or believe out of somebody else's mouth. Start experimenting for yourself. You'll find out and discover, you know, when the time comes, that, yep, I'm actually right. They do hold a memory. So, but I wanted to do this video because from time to time, like everybody else, you know, I watch YouTube videos too. I take part in discussions and stuff. And the odd person will pipe up like a little know-it-all person, which some people, they know quite a bit. I'll give them credit. And there's a lot of people that know a lot more than me. I've only been playing with batteries for, I don't know, over 40 years. Okay, and I've been playing with lipo batteries for the last probably, I don't know, 6-7 years. And I've learned a lot about lipos, okay, and how they act, react. I've learned a lot about fires and how to avoid them. I've never yet had a fire with a lipo battery, okay, so I've had them swell, but I've never once had a fire, okay. I know how to treat my batteries, and I know what works for the batteries and whatnot. But if you were wondering about this whole C rating thing and what's a 1C charge, a 2C charge, and so on, that's based upon 1 times the capacity. So 5200 milliamps, you charge at 5.2 amps, which is 1C for that battery. Okay, a 6 amp battery is at 6 amps, that's 1C for that battery. Okay, and so on and so on. Okay, now with nimh batteries, there's a program cycle in most chargers where you can cycle that nimh battery. So it does a discharge recharge cycle. It's like a conditioner. Sometimes you got to take a nimh pack and run it through a couple of times to get rid of that memory. I've had to do that. I even have these little 9.6 volt race packs that work perfect with this charger for reconditioning them, especially when they've been sitting forever. You know, it's like, how do you get a charge back into this? You cycle the hell out of it, and eventually, as long as there's no bad cells, it will come back to life. And I've had really good success with that. So anyways, guys, hopefully that answers your question. You know, and go from there. So yeah. So we'll catch you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching, and enjoy.